The inflation rate edged up in July, rising to 3.2%, boosted by higher energy prices. The rise interrupts a streak that saw inflation steadily decline over the past year, down from a high of 9.1% in June of 2022. The news could increase the chances the Federal Reserve will continue its policy of hiking interest rates to stop prices from rising. Those high interest rates are making it harder to pay off credit cards as Americans are hitting a new high in credit card debt. The overall balance shot above the $1 trillion mark for the first time. CBN Washington reporter Hillary Powell takes a closer look at the trend.
Although credit card balances are at an historic high, the New York Federal Reserve reports that generally people are still able to make their payments on time for now. There are 70 million more credit cards open than there were before the pandemic, and that's really changing how families are choosing how to spend.
The larger concern is credit cards are increasingly being used to pay down household bills. Experts say that could be the reason why credit card debt for families nationwide is unprecedented at a record-setting $1 trillion. CPA Howard Dvorkin says the use of plastic is back up after consumers took a pandemic pause on spending.
People are subsidizing their normal costs, their normal living expenses, using the credit cards. So maybe things were great 3 years ago, but now with the inflated expenses for groceries and fuel and all the other expenses and travel, I have to say, because the airports are very busy, they're using the credit cards to pay for it.
Other balances such as retail stores, consumer loans, and car loans add to the household balance sheet, as well as financial frustration. A recent Debt.com survey reports Americans who admit feeling stressed after using credit cards is up 15% since last year. The federal government is in the same boat with the U.S. Congressional Budget Office, projecting the national debt to be nearly twice as large as the entire U.S. economy in 30 years. Congress could slow that trend by cutting spending. One suggestion from the CBO, however, mentions limiting Social Security as an option, which won't be popular with politicians in an election year. The office also warns higher debt can erode confidence in the U.S. dollar. Dvorkin says before your next bill arrives, families should create a budget.
Maybe it's not the greatest financial planning thing that you've done, but it'll put a good ability for you to chart a path out of debt, out of financial stress, and figure out, okay, what's my next move?
Now, when you add in the elevated interest rates, it becomes even more of a challenge to pay off credit card debt. Bankrate.com reports that the average interest charge for credit cards right now is around 20%. So again, an even heavier burden for families with a really tight budget. For CBN News Washington, I'm Hillary Powell.
A heavy financial burden indeed. Andrew?
It was incredible to hear 70 million, more credit cards are open now than before the pandemic. And with these interest rates, that is tough. And, you know, a lot of American families and individuals don't really learn about money and financial management until after we've made mistakes. So before you swipe the credit card next time, think about the future a little bit. Some good advice.